everybody. Welcome to Navel Gazing, the Valley Indy podcast. My name is Eugene Driscoll, valleyindy.org. That is a nonprofit digital newspaper. Usually I say online newspaper. I learned today the 2023 nomenclature is digital newspaper, covering Ansonia, Derby, and Seymour. Ostensibly, the reason for this live broadcast tonight is to address allegations that I am a son of a... I have a beep button, but it doesn't really work. Yeah, I wanted to just talk about why sometimes I post things twice. It seems to be a running issue with one local politician. By the way, if anybody has any questions, comments, please leave them under this video. I'll see them and I'll make them live and we can make this a conversation. But as you may or may not be aware, Alderman Tony Mamone of Ansonia, the head of the Republican Party, took issue, it seemed, that I posted a story, Ansonia related, about an assessment, an incorrect assessment listed on a tax incentive deal. You know, there's very sexy stories, very sensational stories that the media is always churning out there about assessments, because that's going to get the attention that you want, right? It's like house fires, the Kardashians, and assessments. Anyway, I posted it twice on Facebook, and the alderman has taken exception to that in the past. I've conversed with him on Facebook in a thread, which is not very effective, and we've had conversations on the phone about why I do this on occasion. So I'm more than happy to go through it. Could be boring, I guess. But again, ask any questions. Ask me about the books behind me. I know it's kind of, I haven't shaved. I didn't really work today. My son has been sick all week. That means I've been up all night. My son is constantly sick. We probably should have had his adenoids taken out, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm a little loopy. But, so I said the story was this assessment thing, right? The thing about Facebook, and I don't control the algorithm. One thing that Alderman Mamone said in a comment thread in one of the very, first of all, nobody should be watching this. Ansonia, you guys fight too much. These endless threads on Facebook, it does nothing for me. I don't like them. When it's 6:30 and I'm trying to watch the challenge upstairs, my wife's working late, I'm trying to manage the kids, you know. I spent $70 on fast food because I did Uber Eats. I don't want to hear anybody fighting. These endless, you know, and then it gets, people are calling each other, get a life, you're a loser. It gets all nasty. I think, I wish like I could temporarily turn off comments. It doesn't benefit me. Just so you know, it doesn't benefit valleyindy.org to have endless fights on Facebook. It does benefit Facebook. As proof to my attitude sometimes, or most of the time, toward comments, valleyindy.org doesn't have them anymore. So if you think I posted something, as Alderman Mamone implied, to get people fighting, well, I would do that on my site if I wanted to sell ads off it. But you can't comment on the site anymore. I turned them off months ago because it was just a cesspool of fighting. And it just, I'm one man. I got other things to do than sort of do fights. Okay, let's see. The monitor fights. Your first mistake is dealing, well, no, it's like, that's the thing, David. Don't call names. Don't call each other names. You know, like I become shrapnel. I try not to kiss Mayor Cassetti's butt. I didn't kiss Mayor Delavolpe's butt. At least that's what he told me at the time. So I just think the politicians, you know, just get along with each other. Don't be so vicious. But anyway, Santiago, relatable content. Do you think this is relatable? I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not. Look, I love internet trolls. I'm a troll myself. I do a podcast on the weekends when I troll. But it's another thing when you're sort of just for no reason accusing me of being a scumbag when here's why I post things twice. So let me see here. I'm going to bring something up. So here's the actual page that I shared. Oh, wait. Santiago says he's talking about Uber Eats. Yeah, Uber Eats is the biggest ripoff ever. But I did it because I was like falling asleep and it was raining and my kid's coughing like crazy and I didn't want to go anywhere. No, David Rhodes, I don't believe in calling names. There used to be a time, I don't know, maybe something's changed or maybe I'm just getting older, but I don't remember local politics being this vicious when the Valley Indy started or when I started in newspapers in 2009. There seemed to be, or in 1998, there was more class. All right, let me see here. So I'm going to share the screen. I don't know if this is the right one. All right, so this was the story. Now, I put at the top of this, you can see it right there. In case you missed it, Ansonia has scheduled a public hearing on a previously approved tax incentive package because it turns out the original agreement overstated the property's assessment. Basically, any reporter's going to, you're begging people not to read based on a sentence that boring. And there's the link. So what this is a photograph. Because when I had, and I'm going to stop sharing that, and you see this is the comment that kind of got the alderman out of whack, even though we've talked about this many times before, and I thought I explained this. Alderman Moen said, no one missed it. You posted it less than 24 hours ago, but appreciate the coverage on the multi-million investment in our city. And what I'm going to say to you now is, no, people absolutely missed it. That's why I posted it again, because the Facebook algorithm here is the thing that's always changing and you're constantly trying to adjust to. So what I've noticed, and this goes back years, sometimes if you post things as a direct link, Facebook doesn't show it to anybody. Post the same thing again as a photo, post a photo with a link supporting it, suddenly you get this. So you'll see this one, whatever, 6,316 impressions. The post reach was 6,237. Post engagement, 1,339. So that one reached people. It's a news story that reached people. People also clicked over and went to the Valley Indy to read it. So that was the second share. Now, I think the politicians think that this is because I'm trying to rub salt in a wound. And I mean, look, I've been doing this 24 years. I don't have, if anything, I dislike all politicians equally. After you do this for 24 years, it's like, there's no bias. It's not that hard to be fair. I mean, it really is. It's just a job. But okay, so I'm going to go to the Valley Indy again. So that was the second one. I'm going to try to find, maybe I'll just share it and we'll go through our journey together here. So here's my page in general. Actually, this Seymour budget story, that's the third time I've posted it because it's really hard to draw attention to a budget story. And Seymour has really low participation during the referendum. So I actually published that story 3 times. Doesn't mean I feel one way or the other about the budget, or you could feel that way if you want to, but that's the third post for that. So then if we scroll down, these are actually things I set in advance. There's the one I posted 12 hours ago of the photo and a link that ticked people off. Bear with me. I just have to find the original. So here's the original post from 1 day ago, right? That was posted at 9:17. That's peak traffic on Facebook, right? Because everybody gets to work and they don't want to go to work, so they log on to the Valley Indy. And if you look, that was a direct URL, not a photo, but a direct URL. And Facebook, this is the first time the story was shared to Facebook. You would think that this would be the one that people would read. It's literally new news. Look at that. 564 impressions. Everything is low, low, low. So that's what you call being throttled as far as I know. So no one saw that story. So if you look at that, and I know that is really not good, that's why when something like that happens, I will post the story again by doing a photo. Do I do that all the time? No, I don't have time, and it gets confusing. In addition to editing the stories, writing the stories, applying for the grants, editing a freelancer's stories, assigning stories, I also do social media. I don't post everything twice. But as more proof, here is Mayor Cassetti. Now, Mayor Cassetti, I think, is a Republican. I think Tony Moen's the head of the Republican Party, who criticized me for posting things twice, even though I've explained it to him 100 times. You can see here, in case you missed it, and I put right in there, according to Facebook's annoying AI, you did. This was a story. As far as I know, no other media outlet wrote about this. So when I first posted it, that's the second post. That is a photo with an accompanying link. It's a photo first, not a link first. Sometimes Facebook does not like direct URL links. All the politicians should be writing this down. You don't need to pay whatever you're paying to your fancy college consultant. So that's pretty good. When you get over 1,000 post reach, not bad. Now, again, I posted that story twice. Here's a punchki eating contest. By the way, I'm going to be obnoxious as hell Tuesday morning attending that, especially given what's happened today. Posted that twice as well. If we scroll down, okay, here it is. Breaking news, Mayor Cassetti running for re-election. Here's the Valley Indy story. In years past, right, we have 12 years of data to draw off. Something like this would get noticed on Facebook. It would be shared. Facebook has changed. The algorithm has changed. Once again, I am not the algorithm. Tony Mamone said that it's my algorithm. No. I am not Facebook or YouTube. I would not be broadcasting from my basement if I was either of those things. So when we look at, again, less than half the engagement of the second post. Makes no sense. That's Facebook. That's why I post things twice. I don't think I should be ashamed of trying to share stories with the public so that you can see them. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with that. I'm going to stop sharing. Let's see if there's any questions or anything. Let me grab a little drink. Oh, wait, we got a bunch of things. Jennifer Lane Magri, Eugene, you do a phenomenal job. Posting more than once makes perfect sense because many people don't scroll through their feeds or go directly to your page. Yes. Perhaps people in public office need to be less sensitive about criticism. The only thing I didn't criticize anybody. That story I wrote on the assessment was, I thought, as middle of the road as you can get. I don't have a dog in this fight. It is what it is. Thank you for that comment. Santiago, politicians are like soccer players. They're going to cry and roll around until they get what they want or the moment passes. I do agree to that to a certain extent. I just get a little offended when my character is called out on integrity for really no reason. When I've explained this many times, that's sort of what kind of set me off here a little bit. But I think it's important. I'm one person. So I think it's important to direct this directly. I know it's boring and I know I'm probably rambling, but I also invited Alderman Mamone to come in and Sharon, I'm sorry, Sharon, how do you say your last name? Warshak, also invited her to come in. She made some kind of a comment about how maybe that story was a draw. I mean, the things that draw people in, like if I switched and just turned on the scanner and posted everything from the scanner, every false alarm, every weird medical call, everywhere Derby and police Ansonia are going. And actually, I should do that to some extent. I've fallen off that over the years. But that's stuff that'll definitely get engagement. If I did that all the time. A story about an assessment in a tax incentive agreement. Santiago, this entire concept of a local politician getting, okay, all right, trying to freedom of speech. Stuart Brannon, what happened to the parking spaces that were on Olson Drive for the development? Okay, I think you're talking about the spaces that were on Olson Drive. There was 137 spaces that I believe the mayor and the developer put there. Set off a little bit of a to-do on social media. Those spaces actually weren't counted by the Planning and Zoning Commission during their review of that redevelopment project. That is, I don't think this public hearing that they schedule in this assessment is going to change anything. Obviously, it's literally a done deal. But so those didn't play a part. Why they were removed, I haven't. I'm going to ask Gene Fowle to look into that next week. We actually didn't get into that. We wrote about when they appeared, and we pointed out they weren't part of the actual review. There's 250 on-site spaces. Those 137 spaces were just, the mayor said, for future development of that area. Kim Mastriani, disregard, half the people don't understand it anyway. Wait, do you mean the story? I tried. That's even more disheartening. So that was that petty, so petty. I mean, hey, people can say what they want. This was just one particular issue that I just wanted to point out. I have the data that I just showed you. It's just a desire to share information with people, not to make anybody look bad or to, I don't know. I'm the son of a New York City police officer, and he's the chief of police at the town I grew up in. And he was always like, politicians, politicians. Politicians are always the first to say someone's biased, where they're the ones. I mean, if you look at it, I'm not trying to advance any goals or whoever is in office, I write about them until this thing doesn't exist anymore. So anyway, I just wanted to address that because Tony Mamone had said, Alderman Mamone, because I got in there today because I do the endless fighting. It gets annoying after a while. I know that's condescending to say, but I get all the notifications and I don't believe the Valley Indy page should be a free for all. It would be easier, but I really have always wanted it to be a place where it's not people calling each other names, but that goes against the very essence and purpose of social media. Big part of social media is to call your neighbor a jerk. It just is what it is. But I had put in there, hopefully, like tried a little humor to sort of take the air out of the conversation, because it was one of the threads seemed to be going towards getting nasty. And I said, oh God, is it going to be another weekend of endless Ansonia fighting on Facebook? Go out and get a drink, folks. It's Friday. I was just, as my job as like the administrator of this, to kind of say, hey, let's let it go. We can come back and reignite these debates next week, right? And that's when Alderman Mamone said, but in case you missed it, right? Which is a reference to my literal, in case you missed it, as I just proved to you, people literally did miss it. He said, but in case you missed it, right? Isn't this what drives your algorithm and views and hits? You got what you wanted. And, I did respond. I'll read it. I said, your algorithm, are you high? I explained this to you several times in public and privately over the phone. So you're either a liar, a partisan hack, or an ignoramus. See you Tuesday. I do regret saying that. I was triggered and I got angry. I apologize, but I can assure you, and hopefully I've just showed you, I can go through it again if you want to see data as to why stories get shared twice on Facebook. Again, this week especially, Facebook did not like direct URLs, including the mayor's reelection. So no one seemed to complain when I shared the mayor's reelection story twice. This story gets complaints. No one seemed to complain when I shared the punchki eating contest twice. Somehow this got complaints. No one seemed to complain when I shared the Seymour Board of Education budget story 3 times. This story got complaints. I understand people are going to attack the messenger, but I think I am allowed to respond at times, especially because we don't know if the Valley Indy is going to be here next year. So I'm feeling a little free. Jennifer Lane Magri, maybe the leadership at Ansonia should be more transparent about what they do when they react the way they do to a factual story. It makes one wonder why. So many things seem to be done in questionable ways in town. It is almost as if they believe their constituents aren't smart enough to understand things and make up their own minds or have contrary opinions. I don't really have a response. I just read that. That's from Jennifer Lane Magri. I will say that you can call up the Corporation Council pretty much any time of day, any day of the week, and he'll answer questions. I actually don't deal with Alderman Mamone really for any stories, but he does have a history of, he's a little bit of a troll online, and that's okay, but let's call it what it is. It's his job. As a political person and a political leader, you're going to spin and attack the press. That's fashionable. Santiago, if I had a nickel for every time certain deli meats whined about, all right. So I don't want this to turn into, guys, I just went to the DabbleCon, which is a celebration of the Stuttering John podcast. So I totally understand trolling and internet culture, but trying to keep it respectful. Is Peter Mann, we could be related. That was my late mother's maiden name. Is Derby better than Danbury? Peter, what do you mean? In terms of the politics? One of the easiest politicians I've ever dealt with, a guy who never took it personally. That's what happens more in the Valley, is that you write some of these stories, and I'll just say it. I think the Post and the Register, before the Valley Indy came on the scene, was kissing butt a little bit and not really doing FOI stories, not really pushing for transparency in some of our local government. I know that makes people uncomfortable, but that's what I observed. But in Danbury, Mark Boughton was very good to work with. he didn't take it personally, and he's a guy. I remember he took me aside once. I did 100 stories about how Danbury got national publicity, international publicity for arresting day laborers, right? Or they participated in a sting operation that resulted in the detention of 7 legal immigrants. And there was it was a big story. And Mark Boughton said to me one day, "Hey, you do your job, I respect it, and I do my job. I don't have a problem with you. But when people Google me, the term racist comes up, and so that kind of struck me. I try to be fair and realize we're all human and we're all neighbors here. And I think I want the best for Ansonia. I want the best for Derby. I live here too. I can't sell my house if I wanted to. I am rooting for the Valley. I'm not involved politically. I just want to see it succeed. But I also think there is an obligation to just write stories, not to curry favor or any of that stuff. And I think if someone's going to, question why I posted a story twice when it's painfully obvious, it pains me that I have to explain this to somebody because I'm just not used to that. I'm not used to that level of ignorance when it comes to social media. Stuart Brown, and keep doing what you do, Eugene. We appreciate being kept informed. Chris Rogers is I don't want, again, I was hoping that people who've criticized me today, I would love to have a conversation. That's why I wanted they could do it I know Sharon was able to, she said this is for some type of draw is the reason I posted this twice. I didn't really understand her comment, but when I sniff, I turn off my microphone. But people are allowed to debate and ask me questions. You guys are the best editors, so I was hoping they would say that. But anyway, Sharon was able to type from her phone wherever she was, but I guess isn't now. Jennifer Lane Magri, I was an elected official. I would have never commented or engaged on social media the way some others do today. Again, Eugene, you do a phenomenal job. We're lucky to have you. Owe no one an explanation. Well, I appreciate that. It was sort of a busy week. I mean, now that I have people, and I guess I just, again, my motivation tonight was just to explain why I post things twice. It's not a some type of liberal conspiracy or deep state conspiracy or what have you. I mean, in terms of the news this week, there was just that, it's not even a conclusion, but the person who shot and killed a 23 right down the road from me, 23-year-old man in 2020 was pleaded guilty. If you saw that story, just horrible. Every aspect of that story is just horrible. That whole crime was horrible, and hats off to the various police departments who caught that guy and put a case together against him. And now he is off to jail where he should be. Well, maybe I'll share this. Does this really? Oh, I have my daughter is calling me. Hold on one second. Okay, my wife's working late, so actually I'm gonna probably cut this short because my daughter just yelled down here that she's hungry and wants dinner. Here we go, Deep State Gene backtracking on his obvious liberal bias again. I don't even know. I mean, what is liberal and conservative these days? I don't even know what the measure is anymore. It's like if you blink, you're one or the other. We're all extremists, I tell you. We love you, Gene. You do thankless work. Oh, no, I didn't come on to have my back scratched. I try not to curse too because I'm a little heated. But all right, let me go order dinner for the kids. And I want to thank everybody. I'm sorry for blabbing on. Again, I just wanted to quickly go through that. Again, I see the comments are kind of, well, they are what they are, I guess. People are responding to a public official. It wasn't really my intent. But for nobody, I am the Valley Indy. For me, I'm saying I'll see you Monday. Good night. God bless. Good luck.